You can make $250,000 a year and still be completely broke. Society teaches you to chase the promotion, secure the bonus, and grind for that bigger paycheck. But a high income is just a vanity metric if every single dollar flies right back out the door. You are just a middleman moving money from your employer to the bank holding your mortgage. The illusion of wealth traps millions of high earners in a golden cage of their own making. They upgrade their cars, inflate their lifestyle, and wake up 10 years later with zero actual assets. The real game is not about how much cash flows into your hands. The actual engine of wealth is your savings rate. This is the exact percentage of your income that you keep, protect, and deploy into the market. It is the only number that dictates when you get to buy your life back. A worker making $60,000 who saves 20% will completely crush an executive making $200,000 who saves nothing. The math does not care about your job title or your corner office. It only cares about the gap between what you earn and what you burn. Shifting your focus from earning more to saving more changes the entire battlefield. When you lock in a high savings rate, you are doing two things at once. First, you are rapidly building a mountain of capital. Second, you are permanently lowering your cost of living. This dual action is the ultimate cheat code for financial independence. You need less money to survive, and you have more money working for you in the background. It is a brutal, hyper-efficient mechanical system that forces your net worth to climb regardless of the economic weather. Look at the raw numbers behind a 10% raise versus a 10% jump in your savings rate. If you get a raise at work but keep your spending habits exactly the same, taxes and lifestyle creep will eat the majority of that new money. But if you take your current salary and force your savings rate from 10% up to 20%, you fundamentally alter your timeline. You just slash the number of years you have to work by decades. Every extra percent you save is a direct attack on the years you remain chained to a desk. This is where the compounding math takes over and does the heavy lifting for you. When you push that higher percentage of your income into investments, those dollars start having babies. Then those babies have babies. Over time, the interest generated by your portfolio begins to outpace your actual physical labor. A 20% savings rate feeds the compound growth engine so aggressively that your money starts working 24 hours a day. It never sleeps, it never calls in sick, and it never asks for a vacation. Yet most people actively sabotage this engine the second they get a taste of new money. The psychological barrier of lifestyle creep is the silent killer of financial freedom. You get a bonus, and suddenly your perfectly fine car feels too old. You start justifying luxury purchases because you feel you earned them. This spender's high is a chemical trap designed to keep you broke. You are trading your future time for rapidly depreciating metal and plastic. Breaking this cycle requires a ruthless rewiring of how you view a dollar. Every single dollar you spend today carries a massive opportunity cost. You are not just losing that $1, you are losing what that dollar could have become over the next 30 years. A $500 car payment is not just $500. Invested at an 8% return, that monthly payment is millions of dollars stolen from your future self. When you understand this math, buying useless junk stops feeling like a reward. It starts feeling like a self-inflicted wound. You realize that spending money is literally spending your future freedom. This discipline builds your wealth runway. Think of this runway as the exact number of months you could survive without a single paycheck. A low saver has a runway of maybe 3 weeks before the panic sets in. A high saver builds a runway of 3 decades. They operate from a position of absolute power. When your savings rate dictates your timeline, you stop fearing layoffs, bad bosses, or economic downturns. You have built a fortress of liquidity that makes you completely untouchable by normal financial stress. To build this fortress, you have to weaponize your cash flow and attack your current expenses. You must deploy the debt snowball method to crush any high-interest obligations dragging you down. Credit card debt with a 24% APR is a financial emergency that must be eradicated immediately. Once the debt is gone, that monthly payment gets redirected straight into your savings rate. You automate the transfer so the money vanishes into your investment accounts before you can even see it. The IRS takes their cut automatically, so you must take yours the exact same way. As the months turn into years, the momentum shifts from a grind to an avalanche. The interest from your investments starts covering minor bills, then major expenses, and eventually your entire baseline lifestyle. You reach the crossover point where your portfolio generates more cash than your actual job. The math of compounding is slow in the beginning and violently fast at the end. The heavy lifting you did by maintaining a high savings rate in the early years creates an unstoppable wave of capital in the later years. You can actually feel the shift from scarcity to absolute strategic control. The panic that used to keep you awake at night completely vanishes. You stop checking your bank account to see if you can afford groceries and start checking your portfolio to see how much territory you conquered today. The habit of saving stops feeling like deprivation and starts feeling like power. You are no longer playing defense against your bills. You are playing offense, buying up assets and expanding your financial empire. Those who refuse to optimize their savings rate remain trapped on the treadmill forever. They believe the lie that the next promotion will finally fix their money problems. But a higher salary with a terrible savings rate is like pouring water into a bucket with a massive hole in the bottom. You can turn the faucet up as high as you want, but the bucket will never fill. The income increases, the spending matches it perfectly, and the net worth stays exactly at zero. It is a tragic waste of human potential. The low saver also pays a hidden tax that destroys their purchasing power over time. Inflation quietly eats away at whatever meager cash they leave sitting in a checking account. Because they lack the liquidity to invest in hard assets, they are constantly losing ground to the rising cost of living. They are forced to rely on debt to bridge the gap, paying massive interest to banks instead of collecting it themselves. The opportunity cost of ignoring your savings rate is a lifetime of mandatory labor just to survive. Fixing this requires an immediate and brutal audit of your current cash flow. You have to hunt down the hidden money bleeding out of your daily life. Cancel the subscriptions you do not use, renegotiate your insurance, and stop eating your future by ordering delivery every night. These small leaks sink massive ships. By plugging these holes, you instantly boost your savings rate without having to work a single extra hour. You are simply reclaiming the money that was already yours and putting it to work. This reclaimed capital becomes your ammunition in the game of wealth. Having deep liquidity allows you to strike when the market panics. When everyone else is selling assets at a massive discount because they need cash, you are the one buying them up. A high savings rate gives you the dry powder necessary to capitalize on other people's bad decisions. You are no longer a victim of the economy. You are an apex predator, using your disciplined cash flow to acquire assets at fire sale prices. If you want to see the extreme end of this math, look at those who push their savings rate to 50%. Living on half of what you make sounds impossible to the average consumer, but the math behind it is absolute magic. At a 50% savings rate, every year you work buys you exactly 1 year of freedom. If you maintain that rate, you can reach total financial independence in under 15 years. You are trading a decade of strict discipline for 4 decades of doing whatever you want. Sustaining this level of execution requires you to completely ignore the social pressure to spend. Your friends will buy houses they cannot afford and cars they have to finance for 7 years. They will look wealthy on the outside while drowning in stress on the inside. You have to be comfortable looking broke while actually getting rich. You must break away from the herd mentality that equates consumer debt with success. True wealth is silent, invisible, and entirely disconnected from the logos on your clothing. The reward for this psychological endurance is a quiet, unshakable confidence. You realize that a high FICO score is nice for borrowing money, but a massive net worth means you never have to borrow again. You hold the ultimate trump card in any negotiation because you do not need the money. If a boss demands too much, you can walk away. If an opportunity requires a risk, you can take it. Your high savings rate has bought you the greatest luxury in the world, which is the ability to say no. By year 10 of this system, the math becomes almost entirely automated. The money you saved in year 1 has doubled, and the dividends are buying new shares every single quarter. The snowball is rolling down the hill so fast that your daily contributions are just a bonus. The compound growth engine is humming at maximum capacity. You are no longer saving your way to wealth. Your wealth is generating its own gravity, pulling in more capital faster than you could ever spend it. To keep the engine running, you must ruthlessly defend your savings rate against lifestyle inflation. When you finally get that massive raise or land the big client, you do not upgrade your life. You upgrade your investment contributions. You lock in the new income and route it directly into your portfolio before you can even think about spending it. You maintain the baseline cost of living that got you here in the first place. You keep the gap wide and you keep the pressure on. Every time you are tempted to inflate your lifestyle, run the math on the true cost of the upgrade. A larger house means higher taxes, more maintenance, and a massive hit to your monthly liquidity. You are trading liquid freedom for a rigid liability. The opportunity cost of a bigger mortgage is the destruction of your wealth runway. You are willingly putting the chains back on your wrists just to impress people you do not even like. Stay lean, stay liquid, and protect your freedom at all costs. Wealth is not a mystery, and it is not a matter of luck. It is a cold, mechanical system of discipline that anyone can operate. The rules are entirely transparent and available to everyone. You minimize your burn rate, maximize your savings rate, and deploy the gap into compounding assets. It is a game you can win if you stop playing by the rules of the broke majority. You must view every dollar as a soldier in your army, and your job is to send them out to capture more territory. As you enter the final stretch toward your target number, the wealth runway gets incredibly short. You are no longer measuring your timeline in decades. You are measuring it in months. The gap between your passive income and your living expenses shrinks until it completely disappears. The math becomes undeniable. Your savings rate has successfully bridged the chasm between mandatory labor and total autonomy. You have engineered your own escape velocity, and the gravitational pull of the rat race can no longer hold you. The moment you cross the finish line, the reality of financial independence finally hits you. You wake up on a random Tuesday and realize you never have to work for money again. Your investments are fully funding your existence. The discipline, the aggressive saving, and the refusal to succumb to lifestyle creep have all paid off. You own your time completely. You can work if you want to, but it is now a choice, not a survival requirement. You have beaten the game. This is the mechanical reality of buying your life back. Stop obsessing over the gross income on your tax return and start obsessing over the percentage you actually keep. Audit your life today, cut the dead weight, and force your savings rate as high as it will mathematically go. Feed the compounding engine until it runs on its own. Financial freedom is not a distant dream reserved for the lucky. It is a mathematical certainty for anyone disciplined enough to lock in the rate and let the system run.